your future self is a person you haven't met yet. Don't presume to know everything about her in advance, and don't presume that you can control every element of your life just by making choices, because sometimes even the choice you make by default can bring great happiness, not the sort you envisioned. Hello, beautiful people. It's been a while. I've been, busy doing stuff on like the back end. But I finally am getting some time to have a chat about this magazine. I'm not sure if anyone else has picked it up, but it's super interesting. Like you would imagine from Time, just some like crazy out there articles about, the different ins and outs of infertility. The new way of becoming a biological parent, and the first uterus transplant. It's just crazy, like the technology. Like I feel like IVF is huge and we're doing amazing things with that, and then now what they're talking about the future is just insane and definitely controversial. It's always, I feel, like a big yin and yang. You have to have the good and the bad. They talk about, there's a cool story about keeping donor egg and sperm a secret. That was really interesting. And then two other articles which kind of had the most impact on what I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first article that I'm going to talk about, short and sweet, because I didn't really actually enjoy the article. It's why I'm glad I didn't have kids. It was written by, ironically, I'm pretty sure the woman who does the movie reviews for the Time. She's, I'm sure a very amazing writer. But she was on the fence about having kids. She was alright, it didn't happen, and she's glad it didn't happen. She ended up divorcing that guy, and she's lived an amazing life that she couldn't have necessarily lived. She doesn't believe with kids, which I probably agree with her, but I feel like it wasn't very supportive towards women who aren't on the fence about being a mom, who do want to be a mom, and then for whatever reason it doesn't happen, either with a biological or with donor or with adoption. I didn't really feel like it was a very supportive piece to the community in that sense. And that's just my personal feeling. I'm sure she's a very nice woman. But I did really like her last paragraph. And not even necessarily towards people who about being a child free. I think it's just really can relate to anyone and everyone, and especially us women going through the fertility or infertility journal. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. She says, your future self is a person you haven't met yet. Don't presume to know everything about her in advance, and don't presume that you can control every element of your life just by making choices, because sometimes even the choice you make by default can bring great happiness, not the sort you envisioned. Excuse me. I thought that was, pretty powerful and a really good piece of advice for everyone. It's so true. You hate it when you're in your early 20s and people tell you you don't know, you're young, just wait till you get older. You literally want to punch them in the face. And probably when you're young and you're going through infertility and people tell you, oh, don't worry, you're young, you're like shut up. But so the big but is that it's true. You don't know what kind of person and who you're going to be in 10 years time, because you are dramatically different. For the good or for the bad is, all down to you. But I know so it's been 10 years since we started trying. A whole freaking decade. It's crazy. And I am, a completely different person. And so I just thought that was a really powerful message for her to give women at the end of her little rant about why she was glad that she didn't have kids.
So I've run out of time, and I don't know what my hair's doing. I gotta go, but I have a second article that I want to talk to you guys about, and I've got a lot of things lined up for it, so stay tuned. Hi, so Instagram has just told me I spent my hour, and I have 10% battery, so I've just gotta like bust this out, so sorry if it's like really off the wall. But the second article in the Time magazine that kind of really just caught my eye was that infertility is a man issue too. And you know, I had the swim team on, and it was super cool to talk to him, and it's just a subject in our space that I guess is really, it is addressed, right? Like it's changed, you know, like when you go to a fertility clinic, one of the first things, or even maybe before you got to the fertility clinic, your husband gets his sperm checked out. I don't think it is necessarily as taboo, and I think men are kind of more aware of the fact that, you know, it could be their swimmers. But the issue is that like a lot of men just don't talk about it like women do, and so there's probably a lot of you know, isolation and just nowhere to go like us women have. So I contacted the main guy that was featured in this article, Bradley, because at the end of the article he was saying that he was playing around with maybe going on YouTube and documenting his journey, which is a really big step for anyone, I think. So Bradley said yes, and so it kind of sent me on a little journey of just kind of investigating Instagram, the internet, just looking of what is actually out there for the guys. And there isn't much. There's some stuff. There's a lot of blog posts. There's a lot of you know, people giving tips and advice of like how to improve sperm health, but not necessarily like there's only 2 Facebook groups that are not like super private, but I mean, if they're private, how are you gonna find out about them? And both are just around the like 1,000, where, you know, you look at the women's Facebook groups and they're in like the tens of thousands, and you know, there's not many guys on Instagram or Twitter, so I'm searching them out, and I'll like tag them, but yeah, so me and Bradley are just gonna talk about the emotional side of male factor infertility and the identity side of it all. Bradley has kind of a unique case, which we'll discuss on the Insta Live. But yeah, so pretty excited, and I'm excited that I can give him a little bit of a platform to maybe jump off into and break that fear factor. The fear factor is real. I mean, for maybe it's my generation, maybe the younger generation doesn't have that fear, but you know, it's a big thing getting up and talking about your current situation. I think it's easier for me sometimes to sit behind the camera and go, this was my journey, because I have hindsight now and I have a little bit more clarity about it all. But I think when you're going through it and it's just really raw emotionally, it's pretty brave, I think, in my opinion. So yeah, that is the second article. It was worth the $6 I paid.